Hello, everyone, and welcome. It is September 9th, 2021, and I'm your co-host, the Fat Wizard, joined today by...
Alamaxia.
And Lobos.
And today we're taking a look at Dark Forces, released on the PC, actually DOS, in February 28th, 1995. Good old DOS, gotta love it. And I remember this game being pretty awesome, and I played through it, and it was pretty awesome. Alamaxia, Lobos, have you both played this before?
I had never played this before, and
Oh.
I was pleasantly surprised. I was frustrated at the beginning, but as I got a bit more used to the game and kind of how levels were designed, it became much more enjoyable. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I played it when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. I don't know that I ever beat it, but I definitely got to a point and then would start using cheats just to see what else, what other parts of the game had. Not this time, though.
Real quick, before we get started, we will be talking about spoilers from both episode 7, I think, Star Wars Episode 7 and The Mandalorian. So if you've not seen any of those and you really want to, you might want to turn this off and go watch those and then come back. And hopefully you two have also seen them, because there's some cool stuff in here that actually kind of affect those or did affect them. Have you guys both experienced that content?
I've not watched The Mandalorian.
I'm in the same boat there.
Behind.
But I don't mind.
Okay. It's not that big of a deal here.
I don't mind it.
I'm gonna make the call. I'm gonna make this call. You guys had your chances. Mandalorian's been out for a year and a half. Okay, so here's what's really cool. You start out as Kyle Katarn, and you are on a mission to find the Death Star plans.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is like the original Death Star, I believe. So if you remember, near the end of Episode 4 of Star Wars, they are talking about like many people had to die to bring these plans, and I think actually
many Bothans.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what actually happened is this game is saying Kyle Katarn was the one that stole the plans and brought them to the Republic, which is pretty cool, right? Did you guys catch that?
I caught that, but then I was like, wait, but Rogue One, isn't Rogue One?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's the one. Yeah, I was incorrect on Episode 7.
Oh,
yeah,
I see.
Rogue One. So what happened is Star Wars. Star Wars. I know I'm a resident Star Wars expert here. Gosh, I feel like I should shove myself into a locker for this, but so Star Wars at some point they just kind of declared the non-movie canon as non-canonical, and so back this was kind of treated like canon until the J.J. Abrams stuff came out. So yeah, you were right. The Rogue One rectified that. So Kyle Katarn, they're stealing Kyle Katarn's glory. Is what I'm trying to say here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, it's cool to be like, oh, you were the person that did that.
Yeah,
going in there and helping the rebels, right?
Mm-hmm. For sure. And the thing is, I mean, I kind of like that they did the movie too, because this first mission is like what I don't know, especially if you rush through it, probably like 5 minutes, and that's really quick. Got the Death Star plans, cool. But yeah. Especially before anybody knew otherwise, like. This was a cool piece of story to kind of fit into. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about what this game is, how it plays. You can kind of think of it as like I don't want to say Doom clone, but I think they started out doing a Doom mod or something like that, and then they decided to make their own engine or some variant of that, right? So they made their own engine called the Jedi Engine, and it's actually... On paper, like the specs are superior to Doom. Like you can look up and down, although I don't think it does perspective correction. We'll see that in various parts of the video. But you look up and down, and everything kind of looks warped and distorted. But you can kind of jump up things. You can crouch under things. The game has slopes, which is important, and also I believe the levels can have levels stacked on top of each other. In Doom, you can't have two levels stacked on or two areas stacked on each other, so you can't have like multi-floors. So there's a lot of really great things about this engine that you don't really hear anything about the engine anymore. Although I did see there was like some sort of fan-made thing to try to reverse engineer the engine, which was kind of cool. I don't know if it's still out there, but some cool little lore of the engine there. But in terms of actually the gameplay, I want Alamaxia to walk me through this because it's kind of new to you-ish, and I want to see like what's your take on this? Does it feel like Doom or does it feel like something different?
This felt more like a stripped down Duke Nukem than Doom.
Okay, yeah.
Because of how maze-like the levels were and really how much I had to rely on the mini map or the auto map to kind of figure my way out around the places. But it also kind of felt like Heretic because like we were talking about, Doom, you can't look up and down, it's only left right. So right away, I was kind of brought back to whenever we did Heretic. Just the graphics being really pixelated, being able to look up and down again, having to install mods to be able to use my WASD and mouse again. But the way this game was originally played was just your arrow keys and everything. You didn't need to look up and down. It did the auto aim. But
I think you posted an alternate control scheme, which it warmed my heart, right, in the Discord.
Mm-hmm.
That was the joystick controls, and yes. I think for folks that didn't play first-person shooters back in the day, right in the early '90s, that was a popular control scheme.
Heck yeah,
the WASD and mouse, that wasn't really what a lot of people did. It was like a trackball or keyboard or a joystick, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used to go over to my buddy's house, and he had two PCs connected via serial cable, and we would Doom 2 co-op. And one of them had a joystick set up, and I was so jealous because he always played on that one. I was like,
that's pretty cool. Did you guys ever do any deathmatch there? Because I imagine
I'm sure.
Okay.
But yeah.
So let's walk us through the levels a little bit here. So we just completed the first mission, which was stealing the Death Star plans, and now after that, we found out that there was this city or this small little town that was destroyed by some horrendous weapon. And so that you're tasked with going into the city, which is in kind of ruins, and figuring out like what the heck happened. And then we just picked it up. Lobos, did you catch what we found?
You pick up a Dark Trooper weapon.
Yeah, and here we go to the Mandalorian, which is really cool. The Mandalorian, the TV show series, The Mandalorian, actually makes the Dark Trooper a real thing. Oh. And so it's like this big scientific experiment, and so you get to see a lot more of that. And I was like, man, that's so cool. Something that's like 25 years old coming in and actually being a big part of the series. So that was cool.
That's super cool. Do you know by chance, is this like a completely original thing, or was this in books maybe with Kyle Katarn and the Dark Trooper?
I don't know.
Okay.
Unfortunately,
I think books were made after this game. Like, this game had such good reception that there was more made from it.
Oh, right. I gotcha.
And after you get that weapon, you have to go to this. I guess he's kind of like is he a smuggler or something like that? Who might have like dealt in trading this weapon around? You guys remember what?
Yeah, I don't remember his exact.
Yeah, it's like MR. It's like Moff Rebus or something.
Okay.
I just remember the thinking about how ridiculous that his hideout is like completely buried under all of this sewage with, I remember Dianogas, man, these Dianoga alien sewer-dwelling creatures.
That's the thing that they stick their eye, so they're in like garbage and they stick their eye up and they look around, right?
Yep.
There are so many really cool creatures that it's just like, it really harkens back to the movies. Mm-hmm. And you get everything from like the probe that crashes on Hoth, right? That little that black thing that kind of
droid.
Yeah. And then you have like the little trainer droids that Luke would use to deflect the lightsabers or the blaster with his lightsaber. And then those little garbage guys. It's just, oh man, they have so many cool callbacks to these creatures that are almost like one-offs in the show, right? You see it, or the movies. You see them for like 5 minutes, and then they're never there again.
Yeah.
But despite that, the level design, the characters that they put in it, it's undeniably Star Wars. There isn't anything about this game that took me out of feeling like I was in the Star Wars universe. Everything was great.
All the
100%.
designs made no sense. Like that was like, oh yeah, that's Star Wars, dude. Totally. I mean, as far as like the Imperial, structures and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the
I actually
design
thought
of
the
things
game
was.
was. I felt the game was strongest when you were actually in the starships, and it had that very, when you think about the intro to A New Hope, and you have that clean white look, hard edges and white paneling. I think this game does its best when you're going into spaceships like that, because to me that's really evokes Star Wars. Whereas the first couple missions, you're kind of exploring outside areas, and it doesn't like you're still fighting stormtroopers and stuff, but I feel like it doesn't quite feel Star Wars until you start getting to those ships.
That's true, yeah. But yeah, when we're outside in these cliff areas, I will admit I spoke a little too soon. This is just vertical white walls.
Yeah, and then
some of
of
those
course you're
areas were
shooting
really hard
stormtroopers.
some of these areas were really hard to kind of figure out how to get through. Like doing some of these running and jumping. Did any of you had trouble actually timing your jump on the run on some of these? I fell so many times in this game on areas where you had to run and jump.
Yeah, I mean, you have to kind of jump early because you move so quickly that you just run off the edge so fast.
And it's often you can actually make do by not jumping. You can just run.
Yep.
So sometimes you can't, if there's a ledge on the same plane as you have to jump. But often if you're jumping below, you can just kind of run off there.
Even if it was same level as you, if it's like a 10-foot gap, you can just run across it. You just sprint across it. Yeah. So that's kind of some tech that I knew from Doom. So I just kind of assumed that, and it works really well there.
You just carry over what we learned from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, just walk.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
That's how we line up the games. We're just like, hey, strategy to strategy. Now, one thing I wanted to call out, we're shooting some like turrets that are up in the ceiling now, and I feel like this was one of the hardest enemies to kill because I didn't feel like your auto aim would reliably target them. And as we can see right now, the thermal grenades, the arc is basically like he's trying to chuck a Hail Mary there. So like all the thermal detonators would just hit the ceiling above you. But did you guys have any problems with the turrets that are mounted to the ceiling at all?
Shooting them, not necessarily, but as soon as they catch eye of you and they're facing you, they just blast so fast. So you just have to really peek them. There were just a lot of damage. As far as killing, though, I just did a bunch of strafe aiming that way, and it seemed to work all right.
Yeah, being able to vertically aim with my mouse helped me out considerably there. But most of it was just strafing, running faster, using sprint, because I found that the AI, as you were sprinting, they had a much more difficult time even stopping to fire at you.
So I just want to double check on something you said. You were actually using the mouse look to look up and down then, right?
Yes, I was playing this like a traditional FPS, or what we know as an FPS.
Really?
Yep.
Where did you do it? Oh, man, I didn't see that option anywhere.
I think Alamaxia, posted in the group, and it was a fan-made thing. And actually, the developer of that little add-on jumped in my chat for a while and was talking to us.
What?
So, yeah,
That's
it was super
cool.
Yeah, and he was like,
Do you remember what his name was?
His handle? Oh, I forget.
His handle. I want to give him props for the mod, because this was a lifesaver. Actually, I had problems playing the game. It was crashing, and then I looked this up, and I was like, oh, thank you so much. So, sorry we don't have your alias, but if you're listening to this, thank you so much for the work you've done.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, getting back to the storyline, we just picked up some frick metal. And I think this is one of the core components of making these Dark Troopers. So our mission right now is, as Kyle Katarn, we are constantly being employed by the Republic to hunt down this whole secret operation of creating these Dark Troopers. Yeah. And the mission where we talked to the smuggler, I think he keyed us saying, hey, there's this thing called frick metal, and it's mined in this one location. And so now we need to go to that location and figure out what's going on there. I think that's the next step here.
Yeah, I think we're tracking it.
We're gonna blow it up. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. There's a bunch of reactors. We gotta put bombs in there to try to slow down the project.
We're at the Gromos mines.
Gromass mines. And
Yeah.
I think this is where we're introduced to a bunch of the pig guys, right?
The Gamorreans.
Is that what they
maybe?
are? Okay.
Yeah, Gamorreans.
I think they're the next level.
Yeah,
The
maybe
next
the next
level,
level.
okay.
I think so.
One interesting tip, or I guess piece of info, is this level is very red, and from what that developer of that mod actually was telling me is all they do is they put a kind of transparent red plane in front of the camera in the game. So whenever you shoot, like you can actually see the unfiltered version, like
I
brief
just saw that.
frame.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay. Game developers, you gotta love them.
Yeah.
Right. So that's their like primitive fog then, huh?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Okay. So yeah, we're right now we are infiltrating in the mine, and a lot of this is a bunch of moving machinery,
Yeah.
and you have to use that machinery to kind of get lower into the base. One of the cool things about this is if you open up the mini map, and I think I will at some point, you can actually see some of the turbines and stuff spinning on the mini map, which is super. I was like, oh, that's cool to see there.
It's helpful in some cases too, because maybe you would hit a switch and something would move, and so I'd open the mini map and be like, "What moved?" And then I could check, a moving hallway that way or something.
Yeah, the mini-map was definitely a godsend, and I think I had it up overlaid on my screen almost the entire game.
Yeah, one of the cool
style.
things about this is you can have the mini-map overlaid the screen, like Alamaxia said, or if you want to see a more kind of hands-on view, you can actually go to your menu and you can see, your weapons you have, you can see your mission objectives, the amount of secrets, and then you can pull up a mini-map, and I think you can kind of scroll around that way.
There's one thing in that menu that in the last level we would have had to use is looking in your inventory and taking a look at the key cards that you get from certain officers, because there's a little code on the wall that you have to decrypt, and it's like 8 different symbols in 3 different spots. You have to go to your inventory and look at this little key card and look at what 3 symbols are there. Otherwise, you're just clicking randomly.
I have a confession to make.
You clicked randomly?
I got stuck. I brute forced it.
Oh,
And then I found out where to get that thing, but I thought it was like some sort of secret. And of course, the way that I did it, it took me about 3/4 all the combinations to actually get through there. Okay, so we just blew up the mine, or like the mining reactor or whatever, the mining drills, and something came out of it. What's going on here? Lobos.
this is like the kind of tier 0 Dark Trooper, so it's like an early, not unfinished prototype, I guess. And I think it's only melee, but it can also deflect some blaster shots. And if it hits you in melee, we didn't really talk about it, but you have shields and health, and it will just fully pierce the shield. So any character that does melee damage does that.
Yeah, and then you get to see, Boba Fett's coming out. So I think Crix Madine, I guess, is one of the spies for the Republic, and he just got captured. And I guess I'm not clear. Did Boba Fett capture him, or is Boba Fett now going to try to kill Kyle Katarn, who they think is going to rescue him?
I think it makes sense that he captured them, right?
He captured him,
Yeah, because he never we don't see him in game actually or anything.
Oh, don't you? I thought you do.
Maybe you do.
I thought we do.
Oh.
Yeah, they send Boba Fett after you.
I don't remember this, so maybe this will be interesting to learn about.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if this rings a bell, or maybe you just killed the end boss of one of these levels very quickly here. So, any case, let's talk a little bit about the weapons, because we've been really using kind of just one weapon, the blaster rifle, for a while. But Alamaxia, you start out with like a very basic, pretty terrible blaster.
Basically a pistol, and the pistol I kind of like that. It was accurate, and it fired only one shot at a time. But using this blaster rifle that you pick up fairly early in the game, I kind of understand why especially in the movies the stormtroopers couldn't hit anything. Because this has such a spread of where the lasers actually land. I felt like if I wasn't charging an enemy and just putting all of my lasers into his chest, I would end up with less ammo after him than I started.
Yeah.
Because all the enemies, like the stormtroopers, all the officers, they tend to drop ammo for these lasers. But if you come across some of the mechanoid ones, like the scouts or the or like the little things that run around on the ground, they would give you energy cells that would be used for like a repeater gun. Then there was a fusion cutter. There were some other really fun weapons, and we haven't gotten to those other weapons yet.
Not yet. We did just I don't know if we just picked up, but we did see a nail gun. Is that a nail gun or what's going on there?
I think it's a repeater gun.
Repeater gun. And then we also got this weird like little shotgun thing that shoots out either single energy balls or like 4 energy balls at a time. What's that gun called?
That's the fusion cutter. That's what they would.
That's
what they would have been
okay.
used. Yeah, they would have been using that for mining. And I think in the instructions they're like, this isn't actually a great weapon. It would have been used for mining, but. Okay. And then you learn a lot of weapons have 2 different firing modes. You have a left click, and like with that one, it has a left click, which is just a single ball of fire, and then a right click, which is like a tri-ball. And then the same thing with the repeater gun. You could right click and it would shoot out like a triangle of
like a shotgun.
Yeah, it was like a little shotgun. That did so much damage.
Yeah, it took out a bunch of bullets though. It took I think 4 plasma bullets or whatever per shot. But yeah, if you got up in someone's face, that would ruin their day. I actually didn't know you could bind the alternate fire to the right mouse button. I was just using the R button, so I'd like shoot with my left mouse and R for the alternate fire. So one thing I want to chat about real quick here is we're in the prison cell here, and one of these areas has these little green force fields, and it bugged the heck out of me because like I felt like sometimes I could shoot through it and sometimes I couldn't, and I couldn't figure out why. And then eventually I got really stuck on the level and I looked it up. Did you guys have any problems with this whole like green force field and figuring out how to pass through it?
I mean, I was thrown off at first, but I paid a little attention and I managed to get it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Paying a little attention. Yeah, I guess that was my problem. Alamaxia, did you pay attention?
I was not paying attention, but after that and a few other parts in this level, this is a level that made me kind of take a step back and think a little bit more about the design of this game and the way it should be approached. Because of those little details and how I had to shoot a switch at one point to do something. I'm like, okay, they're starting to tack on a little bit more complexity.
Yeah, that was a major design decision for them. They intended to make something that was a little more puzzle-centric. So not just a puzzle on how to open a door, but more like a puzzle on how to proceed. So, and you can definitely feel that, right? There were some times where you'd be like, oh, how do I get through this? So going back to that force field thing, Lobos, since you figured it out, why don't you spill the details?
Well, the force field has just lights that kind of border the entryway, and they would flicker, and then whenever they stop flickering, then the force field is deactivated. So it's just like a brief moment, and then you can pass through.
Can I just say, wouldn't you think that flickering means it's off though? It's like if it's solid, it's on. If it's flickering, it's
that's what I thought. Would have thought.
Yeah.
But I spent
anyway,
a lot of time in this level.
Thank you to the internet for saving me on that one. And then this one, again, like Alamaxia said, is kind of weird. You essentially are... You blow up the wall, and then you have to position the elevator such that... So you have to lower the elevator, so when you jump through the hole in the wall, you will land on top of the elevator. Yeah. And then that gives you access through this other portion to the actual detention block where your buddy's being held. And like I said, like this is one of the cool things about the game is like everyone remembers that prison break episode on A New Hope, right? And this allows you to experience that.
It was really cool. The floor, the red light shining through it. That's core Imperial detention level.
I admit that as soon as I opened that door with Crix in there, I immediately shot him. But nothing happened, so it was okay.
Nothing happens. I tried that. I was just like, I'm curious.
He looks like one of the Imperial officers in the brown suit.
He does.
So
he
whatever.
Does.
It's his fault.
Well, maybe because he was a spy, right? So he was probably wearing that.
I guess so.
Now, so actually, it's kind of worth noting, Lobos, why didn't you just save your game first and then reload if you actually, like, why didn't you do that, Lobos?
Well, I would have done it anyways, but there's no quick save or quick load.
No.
They just
Yeah,
they do give you a life system, and you can find extra lives throughout the level. So if you die, you do respawn kind of nearby, but you have a 3 life maximum. Well, not maximum, but you start with 3 lives, and then you can build up from there, or you can lose them all, and then you game over and have to start the level from scratch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredibly weird because if you think of something like Doom, where you move to from one level to another with all of your health and weapons and ammo, these missions almost seem like they're independent of another. Like what you do is when you finish a mission, you hit the menu and you say next mission, and then it brings you to a little briefing there, and you start back with 3 lives. So even if you've spent some of your lives, I don't remember if your health and shields carry over.
I think ammo counts do. I don't remember health.
I think ammo counts do.
Yeah.
But you can also at any point go back and play any of the previous missions. So you can go back and play mission number 5. So it's pretty interesting that it doesn't seem as sequential as something like Doom does. All right, so we are now in. I think I missed the mission briefing. I don't remember what we're doing here.
I think we are working towards heading to the docking port, we saved Crix Medine, and we are we're at the Ramsey's Head docking port on Cal City.
And do you remember what we're trying to do here?
I think what we're trying to do.
I remember.
Go ahead.
I think we have to plant a beacon to figure out where one of their facilities are, because there's 2 facilities. There's a mining facility, which we already knew about, and I think there's a manufacturing facility. And I think, to your point about the port, I think we just want to like throw a tracking beacon on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. So a lot of hallways here of just kind of gunning down Imperial troopers, which is always satisfying. I don't think you can ever get enough of this. Although I will say that I think some of the missions they would actually respawn. Is that my imagination?
No, some of the missions they definitely do. Yeah.
I think that was a way to keep ammo coming to you, though.
That's okay. That's true.
I think most of them didn't have respawning enemies, but some did. Yeah. I knew at least one of them did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've touched on some of the enemies, but I want to touch on a couple more. So you of course have the stormtroopers, and you have the officers, and we talked about some of the droids there, and of course one of the dark troopers. There's also these are they Rodans? Is that what they are?
I think so.
The ones that throw grenades, thermal detonators at you. I don't remember.
No. Rodans are like Greedo, but they're they're the orange guys. Geez.
Grands. Is that it? I'm looking at the Wikipedia, and
yes, Grand. Yeah.
That's got all the knowledge.
Yeah, it's those dudes, the 3-eyed dudes, and they chunk thermal detonators at you. Yeah,
they just sit there and they throw them, and they're very good at shooting them.
Yeah.
Yes, they are.
I want to take some lessons from them.
Yeah.
And then of course there's what were the pig dudes you called them?
Those are Gamorreans.
Gamorreans. They've got the axe. They'll hit you pretty hard with that axe there.
Yeah.
They were
and then later
easy,
on.
though. As long as you just hit them with a laser, they just kind of stunned in place.
Yeah.
Later on, there are... What are like the dinosaur-looking guys?
Those are Trandoshan, I think.
Yeah, Trandoshan. That's right. And they have a really nasty weapon that we'll get later.
Yeah. Which
is kind of... I don't know how to describe it. It's almost like a BFG 9000, I'd say.
It's definitely a rifle that if you shoot something too close to you, it does a lot of damage to you too.
What it reminds me of is the the Archvile attack in Doom, because it's like there's no projectile, it just emanates fire from wherever you shoot it at, and it'll blow you up. So it's pretty nasty.
Yeah. So let's move on to the next area. I don't know what the level name is here. Alamaxia, do you have that handy?
Yep, this is the Robotics Construction Facility and TV. And this is the level that I accidentally skipped a bit.
Oh, nice.
So right there, we just saw we needed the blue key to get through that door, and we're slipping and sliding around on some ice. And I don't know what exactly I did, but I completely skipped that door and was able to get behind it. And also
nice.
an item that you need in this level that I'm sure you're looking for right there, those boots, those cleats that allow you to
a
not
very
slide
random
on the
spot.
ice.
Yep.
By the way, did you guys have any trouble on this ledge? Like something would happen where I'd like lose any sort of friction, and then my character would just stop moving.
That was because of the ice.
I actually use thermal detonators to give myself momentum. I'd throw them at my feet and give myself momentum on the ice.
Yes,
it was so weird.
So I didn't pick up those ice cleats, and I had, at the end of the level, there is a part where you have to have them to climb up, and what you just described, where you just have no momentum and you're just kind of sliding in one direction. I had to use a level skip because I knew I was at the very end of the level. It was just get to my ship. I could basically see my ship from where I was, and I was like, I don't want to play this level again. Let's level skip.
Oh man.
Yeah, this level's no fun. No one likes ice levels.
Ice
But
levels,
what I did like about it is there's a waterfall, and not only is there a passage behind the waterfall, but it is actually necessary. So it's not just like a little bonus secret. You actually have to go behind the waterfall, and I don't know, it's something my little lizard brain gets a little tickle out of every time I go behind a waterfall. I'm like, there's a cave behind here.
I love it too.
There is a. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say you always expect it to be there, but you always also never expect it to be there. It's like, this is too obvious. They wouldn't put it there.
Yeah.
Yes, they put it there.
I wanted to mention that at the very beginning of this level, there's actually an Easter egg where you can drop off the ledge onto a very thin ledge and go into there's a secret area where there's a 1-up. But if you pick up the 1-up and stop and then open the map, it's got like the face of the rabbit, whether it's Sam or Max, from Sam and Max, which is also LucasArts.
That's the rabbit is Sam.
Sam, then yeah. It's like
you
can see that.
Sorry,
outline.
it's Max.
It's
Sam
Max?
is the dog.
Okay.
Yeah, Max is the rabbit.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a cool one.
That's cool. So like it's the mini map, like the outline of the mini map has the rabbit head.
Yeah, like the area you're in. It's not. It doesn't even fit the terrain you're in, but it's kind of cool. Yeah.
I might just swap back to that level real quick and try that out. That's cool.
Yeah, it's really fast to do.
Once you get in, you get those cleats, you get that blue key card. You go into the actual facility, and there's conveyor belts and things that are like stomping down. So some of the level it requires you to sort of time your movement such you don't get stomped. But we did just pick up a gas mask, and that's going to come into play real quick here. Let's actually chat about the items though, because we're just swapped through some of the items, and we talked about ice cleats. You actually have to equip the item before you can use it. And Lobos, do you want to walk us through a couple of the different items that you can use?
Well, you said there's the cleats, like you said. Is it night vision or infrared?
The goggles.
Yeah.
It looks like night vision.
Yeah, there's a headlamp also, right?
There's a headlamp that's just a straight up flashlight, which there are some dark areas in the game that you'll want the flashlight for. And then there's a gas mask, which I think is just for this section where
I think so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at least kind of quote unquote required for this section where they expect you to use it. And in this area, you're taking constant damage if you don't have the gas mask on. And I think not all of them necessarily, but several of them use a battery power that you have, and then you can pick up consumables to replenish that battery power.
Yeah, and I think Alamaxia mentioned, but those little, I always like to call them toaster droids, the ones that kind of like scoot around, mouse droids.
The mouse droids, yeah.
You can, they're non-threatening to you, but you can kill them and they'll drop a little battery for you.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, those were
cool.
handy.
I always felt bad when I killed a mouse droid, so I tried not to.
Oh.
Oh, such a sweetie. Hey, there's a Dark Trooper, maybe like version 2 that just came out of the facility, and this one's got a nasty looking plasma rifle that it's actually pretty easy though, because they just kind of shoot in straight lines, so kind of just like stand somewhere for a little bit, shoot them, and then strafe to the left or right for a little bit. So
they were
nothing
fast,
too hard
though.
there.
If you didn't sprint, they would easily keep pace with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that last section. I was just gonna say the last section there with the gas mask. Like, I couldn't find the exit for a while, so I ran around in circles so many times and had to keep like. I was like making note of all the battery locations. Like, okay, I got to keep my battery up for this gas mask. But yeah, then managed to make my way out.
The next level I was super excited to see, which was Nar Shaddaa.
Me
and,
too.
I was familiar with Nar Shaddaa from Star Wars: The Old Republic, and I think it looks better in that game than here. This kind of sold Nar Shaddaa as just like a trash heap there.
Well,
I don't know.
I mean,
Lobos,
maybe
what do you think about it?
Yeah, maybe it's kind of like the slummy area. It's like it almost feels like I don't know, kind of like Deus Ex almost, because it's like the outdoor area is just like these kind of tall buildings, and then you work your way through the inner, more Star Wars looking kind of stuff. But yeah, Nar Shaddaa is like a smuggler kind of trade-off place. So
yes, I think it's supposed to be like one of the homes for the Hutts, right?
Yeah, and I forget exactly why we're going here. But like everybody's kind of knows that you've got bounty on your head, and so a lot of bounty hunters are kind of reside here too.
We did just pick up a mortar launcher. I don't know if you folks saw that one. That's a cool weapon. I didn't use it that often. Mostly saved it for bosses.
Yeah, same.
Again, I kind of stuck with the blaster rifle for the most of the game. Did you guys alternate between weapons at all, or?
I did.
Yeah. I was blaster rifle for about the first half of the game, but towards the latter half, I was switching a lot, mostly because I was running out of ammo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I used the blaster rifle a lot, and then whichever one, the 5 ability, the blue kind of plasma shooter.
I think that was the repeater gun.
Yeah.
Which one was it?
The repeater gun. It looked kind of like a nail gun.
Yeah, I liked that one a lot. And then whenever the stronger boys came out, I would use either this mortar cannon or the well, we don't have the other weapon we have. You know, I'm really
we just got the concussion rifle.
I was gonna say I'm kind of sad I didn't really use it that much, but it was so powerful.
Oh, there's some areas that I highlight here that just demonstrates the power of it. Like clearing an entire room of stormtroopers, so good.
That's when I use the mortar shells. I forgot about the plasma, or not the plasma rifle, this concussion rifle for a bit because I killed myself too many times with it.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah, those mortar shells are nice.
I found myself, like, if I found a group of enemies, I would try and, like, peek around corners and chuck, like, thermal detonators at them. Or we didn't talk about the mines that you get. They're called, like, eye mines or something. IM
those
mines.
Sucked.
No, they do so much damage. And I'll give you...
Yeah, to you when you walk over them.
I'll give you the exact situation later with the IM mines.
All right. I'm looking forward to it. Also, by the way, there's one level, I don't remember if we've already passed it, but they put those stupid mines everywhere. It's like, hey, here's some health pack. Oh, and a mine on top of the health pack.
That was
oh, here's a doorway. Oh, there's a mine in the doorway when you open the doors everywhere. Oh, that was infuriating. That was one of the few levels I actually had to redo the entire level because I ran out of lives.
Yeah, there was one of those levels had mines, like just one mine in the middle of consumables that you were trying to pick up. And there was a good, like, solid, like, 2 minutes of silence on my stream of just constantly running into mines on accident and me just kind of staring unimpressed and just, so many mines.
Oh, they were horrible.
Mine memes.
And going back to the Nar Shaddaa, this is the city of, I think it's called the Vertical City or something like that. And they do actually do a pretty good job of selling that as a vertical city. There's a lot of little nooks and crannies you can walk into and jump over. And the game does require you to progress. In order to progress, you actually do need to, like, jump on some buildings and then jump off onto roofs of others. So I had a little bit of a challenge navigating this one just because it was very large and it does require multiple key cards to kind of maneuver around the city. I don't know if you guys had any issues with this at all, or it was all pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I got lost for a while. I think this one I had to restart at some point and do again. This room that you're at right now is the part that... Oh, that's the end. Okay, yeah. I remember, like, taking forever to get there because you can see across that gap and see the bridge with the those thermal detonator guys over there, and just figuring your way over there took a bit.
Yeah, I think that
And
room. I think that one, and also the detention facility, were the ones that took me by far the longest.
Yeah.
So I think to answer your previous question, I think we were coming here to get some sort of nav card. I think that's just what we picked up.
Yeah. Nava card, yeah.
And then I think this is a little weird because
we get picked up by the smugglers.
Yeah, but it looks like you actually fly to them willingly.
Tractor beam.
So
It was tractor beam.
yeah, I don't know. I've seen my Star Trek. That didn't look like a tractor beam to me. But
This is Star Wars,
mixing.
my friend. Not Trek.
mixing stuff together. But I think this is actually Jabba the Hutt, right?
It is,
Yep.
yeah.
That he's chatting with, and of course Kyle's got a couple choice words for him. And he basically says you're going to be eaten by a Kell Dragon, and I was expecting this Kell Dragon to be much larger than it actually is, but it's kind of a pint-sized Kell Dragon.
I mean, it's a big beast for being, compared to a human size. I mean, maybe the 2D kind of throws you off, but he's like as big as a tank, man.
He's a big boy. Which
Maybe it's just the 2D.
I don't think he would have been as bad had we had our weapons at the beginning. Here,
Yeah.
Because that's what made this opening part difficult, and I think I lost all but one of my lives just killing this guy.
Did any of you guys do what I did? I'm convinced the answer here is not to punch a dragon to death. There's got to be some secret door or something. Or did you guys just go straight in? Fists ablazing.
No, I was punching him, and I think at some point a door opens and you can keep going. So I was like, okay, maybe we do kind of bide our time. But yeah, I ended up punching him to death, and I was so surprised once I got weapons back at how much damage punching does. Because it's insane.
Right?
I shot him way more than I punched him. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to start punching things.
So we're actually going to see this right now. We killed one of those guys with thermal detonators. He drops 5 thermal detonators. I'm like, great, because there's another Kell Dragon to kill. And I throw all 5 thermal detonators on this dude, and he's still standing. And I'm like, what? Because I swore I think I only punched him 10 times to kill him.
Yeah.
So this is where you learn that Kyle Katarn's got the fist power of a thermal detonator.
Yeah. More, man. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. But after you kill the, I guess you got to kind of kill 2 Kell Dragons, or at least that's what I thought. And then a path opens up for you, and then you can get a blue key and start moving through the rest of the level.
Well, there was a switch somewhere in that middle hallway that took me forever to find.
Oh no!
It was
there
just
is
so
a
tiny.
switch, but I think I don't know. I might have been misreading it, but I feel like the Kell Dragon kept making the switch toggle again, such the thing would raise, but then he would step on it and make it fall again.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I might have been yeah, whatever. So here is the one place I use these mines that you're talking about, Lobos.
When you have nothing else to use.
Yeah, there was nothing else, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna try to kill these Gamorrean. Is that what they are? Gamorrean?
Gamorrean, yeah.
Oh, whatever. It's stupid Star Wars names. Who cares?
Yeah, that's fair.
The only one I care about is Kyle Katarn.
Kyle Katarn.
Just the alliteration. You gotta love it. You gotta love a hero with some solid alliteration on their name. But you kind of run around a little bit here, and eventually you do find your supplies hanging from a chain, and you get your gear back. And
a great moment.
I thought the gear hanging from a chain was a prisoner, like a dead person. So
kind of looks like it.
I just kept moving on, and I was like, what the heck? Because I pressed E at it, and I was like, okay, whatever. And then it took me a while to come back and actually jump at it in order to acquire it. And I was like, oh, okay. Good job, Kyle Katarn.
So I think this is a level we were talking about where there's just these stupid mines everywhere. And so I guess this is the only time I used thermal detonators to great effect, was to blow up the mines that I could see.
And it was so hard to aim even at that. When you're 10 feet away from it, you throw the thermal detonator, and then the mine has this 20-foot splash radius, so you still take damage anyway. Died to so many mines.
Yeah,
oh, yeah.
I used the thermal detonators quite a bit actually in my playthrough. I don't know if you guys knew, but if you click, you can left click and it's an instant explosion. Right click, it's a timed explosion. But also if you click and hold, the longer you hold, the farther you'll throw.
Yep.
And so I did a lot of just wall bouncing whenever I would go around a corner, see enemies, and then I would just bounce him off and physics my way through a situation.
I actually found that
was
if
a lot of fun.
if you held it down to do a long throw and looked down, you could get a really far throw out of it.
Ooh, nice.
Because of the
Okay,
lob.
so just like got like chucking it across at a guy.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh,
I always experience. Yeah, I did notice that you could do a timed detonate as opposed to an impact one. But those timed, I'd always basically just like throw it at my feet. I'm like, oh, now I just got to run away. You forget, like, you got to hold it down to charge it up a little bit here.
yeah.
So, yeah, we got now our third Kel dragon here. And, yeah, I got my mortar launcher, and I think it took like 6 or 7 mortars. And, again, the mortar to Katarn fist or damage ratio here.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Pretty impressive. I'd
surprised-
love to see the damage numbers because, yeah, fists do a ton of damage.
Yeah, I'm about ready to do a punch-only run. Like, that's probably not too hard.
That would be kind of cool. Yeah. Now, I think it's kind of worth mentioning there was a Dark Forces 2 here as we were kind of running around getting some keys. There was a Dark Forces 2, and I think... I don't remember if that's the one that allows you to start getting force powers, but eventually the series does allow you to start getting force powers all the way to Jedi Academy, where you're pretty much a fully fledged Jedi Knight, and that's super cool. I think the games that give you the force powers are actually pretty cool. But this one is a pure first-person shooter. There is no force. You don't even fight any enemies that have the force.
True.
You know, it is just pure mechanical and energy combat.
Yeah, I actually didn't know. So Kyle Katarn is like the protagonist through Jedi Academy?
Yes.
Okay, because I think I played Jedi Academy, but I didn't remember the name of the character or anything. Like, I just kind of was excited to jump in.
How could you forget Kyle
because
Katarn,
I just wanted to jump in with a lightsaber and slash people. So
okay,
that's it.
So we just completed our mission here on the just Jabba's, I don't know, pleasure barge
prison.
or whatever.
Yeah,
we did pick up Jan, who was we forgot to mention about Jan. Jan's kind of like our handler. She's given us all the missions and the details and the briefings and stuff like that. But I guess she got captured, so we had to go save her. And now we are moving on into the city, one of the cities. And I think what we want to do is
Coruscant.
wait, this is Coruscant?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're cool.
I did not pick up on that.
Yeah, we are. I think they even mentioned that the thing that we need, the decoder, is in the heart of the Imperial City. So we have to like go into the heart of Coruscant, and they kind of make a big deal out of that in the mission description, because this is the level that I had to redo this level because I ran out of lives at the very
That's
end.
rough. It's kind of a long level too.
Yeah.
So I think we have to bring that nav card we got to this location and decode it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what we're doing, and then eventually we're gonna find like the ships or whatever wherever they're launching ships.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here's something that's really cool. There's like a kind of like a little Metal Gear style thing where you're on the rooftops and you see these. They look like they could be searchlights. I'm assuming it's a searchlight, right?
Yeah.
And you want to stay away from them, I think. I don't know. I did get caught by them, and it opens up a gate, which guys come out, and ultimately I had to go through that gate. So
okay.
See, I don't know. Did anyone get through the stealth?
Yeah, I didn't trigger those if I recall correctly, but
in the mission,
I don't know.
In the mission briefing, they mentioned that stealth is your best option, and you can find another way. And if you avoid those, then you can find another way through. You don't have to get detected and go through that gate.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Okay.
I must have done that because I remember going, spotlights, and I did my best and avoided them. That's cool.
And they never have that in the game. That's like a one-off mechanic there. Really cool to see that.
Yeah.
I really loved going into this Imperial City there because everything is like really large and chunky. Like if you look at the architecture, it's very wide open, and it's in some ways it kind of reminded me of Serious Sam, where there was a lot of
huge areas,
a lot of space to kind of maneuver around and kind of just circle strafe enemies.
part of me wonders if that might not have been, were they getting close to the end of development and feeling a crunch and just couldn't do, like the first like 5 or 6 levels were just this maze on top of a maze with all this complexity and switches, and these last levels honestly felt fairly linear.
Yeah.
In comparison.
I actually remember you said the exact same thing about Serious Sam, so there might be something to that there. We just picked up the last weapon that we'll get, and this is a what is this?
This is a Devastator.
Oh, that sounds right.
The assault cannon. The assault cannon.
Oh, assault cannon.
And it has 2 modes of fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kill and kill more.
AoE kill.
Yeah, but this is the weapon that the Dark Troopers use against you, because you can shoot little balls of plasma and then you can shoot rockets.
Yeah.
And so I kind of reserve those for the Dark Troopers. Now here's an interesting puzzle.
This puzzle
Alamaxia,
cool.
this one took me a little bit to suss out. Alamaxia, do you want to quickly walk us through this one, if you can remember
Sure.
what we do here?
Sure. So in the center of the room, or this is a very large room that has 3 concentric circles, where you have to kind of figure out how to adjust the switches on the wall to allow you to open gates to get further into the circle. And on the wall at each corner of the circle, because I think it's 8-sided or 6-sided here, you had to flip a switch and there was like a red light, and you had to choose which level, 1, 2, or 3, you wanted to have a gate open. And it was tricky because if you just tried to go straight forward through the puzzle, you couldn't do it, because you're like, I don't know how to get back, because I have to have this gate open to have that one closed. But you had to open all of the gates on the first level and then go backwards and set all of the rooms. And once you did that, it just made getting to the center very obvious once you kind of figured out how the doors got controlled. Right here.
That was a great explanation.
Right here.
But let's talk about
part.
Boba Fett.
Oh.
This is the painful part that he killed me. He is fast.
No.
He is fast. Because what happened is the area right before this, where it has the 3 square rooms, there's an elevator you have to go up to get to them. I died to him, and it put me at the bottom of that elevator. And when I got to the very top, he was waiting for me at the top of the elevator, and he just blasted me. I couldn't go anywhere. So I had to do this whole level.
I'm having to pull this up because I'm pretty sure, I don't know what I did, but he like immediately died. And I was like, okay, I don't know who that was, but okay, cool.
So once you decode that nav card, Jan is like, hey, Kyle, you got to get back here. Something's happening. And then you go back to the ship, and sure enough, Boba Fett. Or, I don't know. Is it actually Boba Fett, or is it someone that just looks like him?
I think it's supposed to be
I want to say it's Boba, but he kind of dies in the 6th movie.
Well,
so
you may not kill him here. You may just kind of wound him.
Mortally wounded. He'll be
just
back.
a scratch.
Yeah, for me, he was pretty easy because he kind of... So he flies around with his jetpack, but he just actually ended up like flying into a corner, and then it was easy for me to gun him down.
I just watched my kill on him, and he kind of flew out, and I was like, oh no! And then I went around the corner, and he just kind of got stuck against the wall, and I blasted him with like 6 shots of the of that final weapon, and he was dead. And I was like, okay, because it was really quick, but man, that's funny.
Yeah, his AI wasn't great because when I killed him, he got stuck, I think, in the same corner.
Oh, okay.
This area,
call it the Boba corner.
This is waiting the level, in my experience, anyways.
Oh yeah.
And if you fall, you have to keep waiting.
Yeah. So I had to, figuring this out was, here's what I figured out, is that you're in a room and you have this bridge that you can rotate, and it starts at wherever you come in. And each location, it's like 4 equidistant parts in this circular room. Each location has a switch, except for, like, I think the final destination. And hitting the switch that you start at would rotate it clockwise.
To the left.
Right, yeah.
Clockwise 90, yep.
Yep. And then at that location, when you hit it, it would rotate counterclockwise twice.
180, yep.
Yep. And then the button at that new destination would rotate it one more time to the final destination. And that's it.
But the problem is some of the jumps because I got impatient. You could wait for it to line up, but I'm like, oh, let's just move on. If you mess up on any one of those sequences, especially at like the third sequence, you have to do all that waiting again. It's just, that was a nightmare.
Yeah, and I don't think it would have been so bad, except that when you hit a button and needed it to rotate, 90 degrees, it was about 30 seconds of just standing there and like.
And after you do all of that at the very end, we went up and we had to flip a switch on the wall. And I was dumb and I went, "What does this thing do?" And I went,
"Yep, I did the same thing."
No idea what it actually started set at. So I had to do that little circular platform room, I think 4 or 5 times because I had to keep going back. Oh, what did I have it set right? And click it and then try to figure out where it was changing something in the level. And it took me a while to figure that out.
Same.
That's a nightmare. And because that's one of those things that when you flip that switch, you don't know what you've changed. So you're like, did I do the thing?
Yeah, after doing it, so the thing is, while it's like doing its thing, after you've hit it once, you can hit it multiple times and nothing else happens until it finishes. Then when you hit it, because it makes the noise like you're interacting with it, I was like, oh, I'm doing it.
You got to redo it.
Yeah.
Okay. So after all that, I guess what you've learned is there's 2 ships. There is a
Superstar Destroyer.
Superstar Destroyer where the main, the main research thing is. I actually don't remember what the importance of that is. But that's your objective to get there.
Yeah, I think you use it to reach the Arc Hammer, which is the facility or space station where they're actually where they developed the Dark Troopers.
This is Excalibur.
This is the
Executor.
Executor. This is this is what most people would recognize as the Superstar Destroyer from episode 4. It's it's shaped like an arrowhead, dark. I think it was Darth Vader's kind of base of operations. So going through that and being like, we're smuggling ourselves here. We're trying to get to a cargo bay to smuggle ourselves over to the Arc Hammer. That was a lot of fun.
And right now we're on things. If you remember in episode 4 when Obi-Wan kind of goes out and flips the switches to take down the force field, it looks like that's what we were kind of on, like a circular platform with red on the bottom there and some control panels. So a lot of cool callbacks here. What our objective here is, we want to find a cargo ship because this Executor will send cargo to the
Arc Hammer.
The Arc Hammer, yeah. And so we're basically like, we want to commandeer that cargo ship, and so we will be doing that here in a little bit. You have to actually move it down a track and then eventually get inside of it. So kind of cool. Actually, there's a Dead Space had something like this.
Yep, yeah.
Where you're moving stuff down a track there. So
I almost immediately recognized it because the setup was the same. I went past where the cart was initially, or the cargo, and I saw switches at these like kind of checkpoints before doors, and I was like, oh, I guess I'm gonna go move this thing through like piece by piece, and sure enough, that's what you do.
I wasn't really sure what that was I was moving. I was just hitting a red switch and being like, something's moving. Let's continue.
You can get by with that, right? As long as you're making progress and you're shooting more guys, you're generally going in the right direction. So that was kind of how I steered my characters. Like, if I'm going in the right direction, I'm shooting more guys, which is why the respawning guys would always mess me up. I'm like, have I been here before? But the bodies don't respawn when you kill people, so you can kind of use that like, oh, I've been here before.
Nice. So you move that cargo box along, and then you get in it, and then you get shipped on over to the Arc Hammer, final destination.
Yeah, and throughout some of the levels, you get some pretty cool CGI there, showing you some nice little cutscenes there, and I always liked seeing those. Especially this one. For some reason, I thought this one was really cool. Especially some of the music in this game is just so evocative of Star Wars, right? You hear like some of the levels just really hit more than others, and I really enjoyed listening to some of the Star Wars music here. On this one, though, so we just load up the last level, and we need to blow up. We need to place charges on 3 locations and then get back to the ship, and that's actually about half of the levels actually have you running back to the ship, and
Yeah.
most of them didn't have anything interesting to do, and that was always kind of a bummer. Just like, oh, just go back to the ship there. And sometimes I was like, well, I don't remember where we started the level, so
Yeah.
where do I need to run to?
Yeah, that like we said before, the auto map was almost necessary. But this arm thing, this little welding arm,
Oh, it was so bad.
I called it the thwacky arm because I was my friend was watching me play this, and I was like, this thing is thwacking me. He's like, what is it? I'm like, it's this arm. Run in. Oh my god, it is thwacking. Oh,
Yeah.
God, that thing was
It
so annoying.
thwacks pretty hard too.
And this-
When I first stood there, and
Yeah.
it killed me.
Yep. This was one of the situations where it's dealing damage in melee range, so it ignores shields, and it deals 20 damage per hit per tick, and it attacks pretty quickly. So
I didn't
5
know
hits
you
and you're
could kill
dead,
it.
no matter what your shield level is.
I didn't know you could kill it.
Yep, you can kill
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, it helps
Hey,
a lot.
In this game, if it damages you, you can kill it. Except for the gas we talked about earlier.
True.
There are a couple. So there's a bunch of these dark troopers around this level, but one thing we haven't really mentioned is this game does have explodey barrels. But
It
they
does,
look like
yeah.
they're like plasma barrels or whatnot. And sometimes they would strategically put a bunch of barrels next to enemies, which that was cool. I
Very
loved that.
helpful,
But
yeah.
not so much when there were thermal detonators, kind of exploding all around you.
Right. And they also, another thing we didn't mention is there's certain rooms where all of the walls are like reflective, and all your blaster shots and the enemy blaster shots will just ricochet everywhere, and it can get pretty hectic if there's a bunch of enemies in there going. It was really cool, really cool effects.
Yeah, especially those force fields, and that's what was confusing me
yeah.
back when I was talking about the prison levels. Sometimes the bullets would go through the force field, and sometimes they wouldn't.
Right.
And it wasn't until I keyed in on the force field being deactivated.
Mm.
So this one, I really like this level. It is kind of linear in that you have to place these charges in sequence 1, 2, and 3, and then once you blow up one of the areas, that triggers, call it like an emergency door or whatever, to open up, and then allows you to go through more of the level. So we're now on our way to place the second charge, and we just got to see like some of the there's like conveyor belts, but there's also these little crushers that were going up and down there. So again, the game does like moving platforms pretty well.
Yeah.
We were
Which is
talking about
another-
differences from Doom.
Yeah, I was gonna say a different thing from the with the engine is I don't think Doom can do moving platforms, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now this game doesn't have any multiplayer, so that's kind of a bummer. I think this game would have been fun with some deathmatch.
Very
I
true.
feel like that probably would have been a common thing. I actually don't know when Quake was released, but I feel like this game had to come out at least around the Quake time. So
96. So I
really-
think this came out first, like 95.
Oh,
I
it
think,
did? Okay.
And then Quake was a year
Okay.
later.
okay. I'm curious like how much if any not having multiplayer
Like hurt its sales. Or
hurt
whatever.
it. Yeah. But I think it was pretty well critically received, and again enough to make a couple sequels there.
Yeah.
So.
So the room that you went through with the conveyor belts, where there's kind of like this V-shaped wall they'll push you off if you don't.
Yeah.
You don't
Mm-hmm.
I
you
was
have to
looking.
choose the right way.
Well, no, before that, there was like the first conveyor belt with that, and it just pushes you off. And I could not figure it out. I was looking for like a switch to raise it because there's a different switch
yeah.
elsewhere that raises one. And it turns out you just crouch under it. But it's because you crouch really low in this game, and it didn't look like I could crouch under there. So
Yeah, I saw it had like the little line across it that looked like it was cracked. I threw a grenade on it, and the bottom part of it explodes away and reveals that you can.
no way!
you can
Oh
crouch
my
under it.
gosh! I should have tried shooting it. Yeah.
Did anyone have troubles with this puzzle here? Because you're supposed to like line up a bunch of lines to go to connect from point A to point B, but there's no indication when you solve the puzzle. Did you? I had to look this up
up on
because
the
you have to
wall,
actually go
it-
behind the what?
Yeah,
Up on the wall, it kind of gives you an indication because it gives you a line that the path starts and a line the path ends, and there's really only one configuration to get it to work.
Yeah, but I was expecting a door to
Something
open
to
up
happen,
there.
yeah.
But you have to go behind. So you basically, when you start, you come out of like an elevator, you loop around, and you go solve this puzzle. But to actually progress, you have to go back behind the puzzle, kind of where you started, and then there's another hallway that opened up. I was expecting there to be a hallway that opened up on like the same
in the same
area.
place, yeah.
Yeah, so like you flip the switch, they're all lined up, a door opens, go through it.
Yeah, I was very aware of that door, and I was like, how am I going to open that door? And then I found the switches, and so it just kind of worked for me. But I could see, because, yeah, you have to go to a totally different area to access it.
All right, who wants to talk about the end boss here?
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say I'll talk about it because this is where my mines come into play, my friend.
Okay.
So this was very clearly like a final combat room because there are just pickups everywhere. It's a large area that's kind of like quadranted out, and you can keep hitting switches that'll lower these or raise these walls and open the area up more. And you have to keep killing these dark troopers until this final door opens, and I think you have to jump down and then start going back up. And then we never talked about it. What's the actual? This has got the kind of creator of the Dark Troopers.
Yeah, this is Moff Rebus. This was that general that was in the cutscenes with Vader. That, they had captured. What was that? Crix Medine.
Yeah, in the very beginning. And so I saw him coming out, and he spouts his voice line, and he's like, at least you're going to be a challenge if I fight you, blah, blah, blah. And I just backed around the corner, and you can use the right click of the mines to do proximity. And I just made a line all the way back, and he just chunked my like plasma cannon, and he didn't even like make it through half of them. He just died.
That's awesome.
So
he wasn't.
Alamaxia, what was your strategy?
Circle, not really circle strafe, but there was an area that kind of boss room that Lobos was talking about where you could go into like a side room and come out a different door is just this big loop. So I just looped him around that and just used that big weapon, the assault cannon, and just melted him. It wasn't that difficult. He was easier than Boba Fett.
I think I just used a Devastator weapon and circle strafed him. Pretty easy.
Yeah,
not a very challenging boss fight. And then you get a little ceremony here.
Yay.
With what's this woman's name? Mon Mothma.
Mon Mothma. Yeah.
Can I just say, Chewie never got a medal. Kyle Katarn does have a medal. So I think if you want to make comparisons between characters, this is a de facto of why Kyle Katarn is better. So there you go. And then you fly away. And that is Dark Forces. What a fun little time. And we got our little credit screen here for the Patreon. So thank you so much for all your support. And hey, guess what? We did get another Patreon supporter this month. So thank you to David Lucatero.
Thank you.
Sorry if I pronounced that
David.
incorrectly.
Sounds right.
Thank you. And if you're interested in supporting the show, all you need to do is head on over to patreon.com/Saturday Morning Gaming Show. And then you can learn more about our offerings there, including our 25 Patreon supporters goal to cover Earthbound. So that will be a fun one. We're still making some progress to that, and it's good to see that. New friends come in every day to the Discord and chat with us. So if you like retro games, you want to chat retro games, you want to show off some of the retro games you bought, whatever, we got everything there for you. Link is, of course, the Discord link is, of course, on our main webpage, which is SaturdayMorningGamingShow.com.
So we defeated the Dark Forces. We
did.
It's such a wonderful game. What are we going to play next? Because this game had some dark areas that it was a little spooky, but it's going to be a little more. Next month, or is it going to get more spooky?
Well, I think it's Halloween, right? It's October.
It is October.
And of course, we always have some sort of spooky game going on there, and I wanted to get something with like some alliteration. So it's not quite as powerful as as Kyle Katarn, but let me throw a name out here and just see how it sits, okay? James Sunderland. I'd say that's a pretty like 7 out of 10 on the power name there. Everyone knows James Sunderland. He is the protagonist of Silent Hill 2, which was released in 2001, so it became eligible for us to play, and why not? So Silent Hill 2, that's a really cool experience. I've played through it once before.
Oh, only once.
But I did, but it was on stream, and it's kind of sometimes hard for me to focus on the game while streaming. So
definitely,
it's gonna be a little spooky game for us. I think Lobos, you've played it, right?
Yeah, I played a lot.
Alamaxia, have you played that one?
I described to one of my friends where I got at one point, and he laughed and was like, "Oh, you barely even touched it."
Oh man.
Well, okay, so we'll be definitely looking out for Alamaxia, your impressions of Silent Hill 2.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Prepare for
October.
Prepare for The Lock is Broken, because that's what you're going to read a lot.
The lock is broken.
Yeah.
By the way, one of the things that was funny is Tim Schafer was actually credited in this game, and the story there is that I guess he worked with the folks that were making Dark Sources, and he said something like, "You should add me as a credit because I didn't try to make your game get canceled, so you should give me credit for something." He just really wanted to be on the credits of a Star Wars game, so they're like, "All right, we'll give you a motivational guru." So I thought that was kind of funny.
Oh, fun.
No backstory there. All right, well, sadly, that is the end credits of Dark Forces. Again, we wanted to thank everyone for listening to us on the podcast. And if you are listening to us on a platform that allows you to rate us, please do. And you can always get our podcasts on iTunes or Google, wherever you get your podcast normally, or you just head over to SaturdayMorningGamingShow.com. It's got everything, all the links you need to know there. Also, I wanted to let people know, if you haven't been keeping up to date on our Twitter or webpage or other podcasts, we did release a brand new project with one of our good friends, ShaneIsGames. So it's Shane and I. We're doing this thing called Retro Oddities, and what we do is we choose a weird kind of outlandish game, something maybe you've heard of, but probably never played, and we just kind of talk about it. So it's kind of a more free-form experience than what we have here. And so it's a cool little diversion. That gives us an opportunity to play things that maybe weren't stellar games or critical darlings, very much like we tend to stick with on the podcast here.
I did listen to your first episode. A lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, we covered Buck Bumble. Which,
nice.
You're talking about alliteration. Buck Bumble. Nothing better than that. So. So before we end here, I just want to give a special shout out here to TechnoAxe for much of the music on this episode.
And for Saturday Morning Gaming, I'm Alamaxia.
And I'm Lobos.
And I'm the Fat Wizard. We'll see you in October for Silent Hill on the PS2.